Welcome to Canadian Justice. I'm Christine Van Gyn, and today we're discussing digital hacking, data hostage taking, and digital warfare, and how the war in Ukraine and sanctions against Russia are impacting these risks. Cyber warfare and hacking is nothing new, and Russia has long been a leader in digital warfare. But while Russian cyber attacks are currently directed at Ukraine as part of the broader war, the digital war can have impacts for Canadians and Canadian businesses as well, especially as sanctions against Russia by the West ramp up. Here today to discuss the types of cyber attacks that Canadians should be aware of and how we can defend ourselves are two experts. We're first joined by Imran Ahmad, a data and privacy breach lawyer and head of technology for Norton Rose Canada. Imran, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to ask you first about whether the risk of a cyber attack has increased because of the current war in Ukraine.
It's a good question, Christine. The geopolitical situation, even when it was at its infancy, was raising a lot of concerns. In particular, what we call critical infrastructures like financial institutions, energy companies, and so on, are going to be likely targeted by these type of attacks, which are often found within the Russian Federation. So we've let our clients know that they should be on high alert. Luckily, thus far, at the stage we're at in the crisis in the Ukraine and in Russia, we haven't seen a huge uptick, but we have seen some activity going on where organizations are being probed around their security safeguards for sure.
Now, is this risk to Canada and North America more of an incidental risk? For example, if a piece of software is attacked, it could have global implications, but Canada might not be the target specifically. Or do you think that there's actually a risk of Canada and Western countries being targeted directly, perhaps in retaliation from Russia for some of the sanctions that they're facing right now?
Yeah. The big issue when it comes to hackers is you certainly have hackers who are trying to make a quick buck or a cryptocurrency buck, if you wish. But what they're really focused on is getting the tools to be able to do those hacks. And a lot of those tools are coming from state-sponsored organizations. So the Russian government has used cyber warfare to be able to level their kinetic warfare. If you look at the increase in sanctions, in particular, vis-a-vis Russia by Canada, amongst other jurisdictions and Western countries, there's a very strong likelihood that there would be some level of retaliation coming from the Russian Federation.
Now, is the cyber warfare that's coming from Russia, is that coming directly from the government, or is it sort of arm's length, or what's going on here?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it is a bit, I'll call it arm's length, like you said. There's one group, for example, Conti, CONTI, which is a very well-known cyber hacking group. Even prior to this issue with the Ukraine, had been quite active. And the moment this intervention in the Ukraine occurred, they came out and said that they would be supporting the Russian initiative or objectives in the Ukraine. So clearly these groups are somehow affiliated. They do have some kind of political connection to what's going on. They're obviously very connected on the geopolitical development side of things. So right now there's a lot of hesitancy to deal with these threat actors. If there is, for example, a ransom attack happening, to make any kind of payment because of the sanctions, not just in Canada, but globally as well.
So in terms of international sort of pseudo state-sponsored or state-sponsored cyber attacks, which countries are the biggest players? We're talking a lot about Russia. It's obviously top of mind right now. But where do they fit in terms of size of cyber attack or origin and perhaps disruptiveness of attacks?
When you're looking, if you take a step back and you look at the cyber landscape, generally speaking, especially when you're looking at it from a country or a state perspective, it's very different. The objectives are very different. In most cases, what states are trying to do is level the playing field where they cannot have an equivalency on the kinetic side of things, which is sort of the physical warfare. They're going to try to leverage cyber to give them some kind of an advantage. However, there are countries that will also focus on cyber espionage. So they may enter your system to steal data and steal information. We saw a lot of that going on when there was development around the vaccine from some Asian countries, in particular in China, where they were trying to steal some of that research. So we see that activity going on. Certainly Russia is a big player. Iran, North Korea, parts of India and Pakistan are in there as well. So a lot of these countries are there not just to make a quick buck, but also to advance their own political or economic agendas as well.